TNTM The Show presents Comicast 351 with your host, Pablo Gunner, and I am here to talk nerdy to you about this week's comics, which are the comics for the week of October. October, what? I'm jumping the gun here because I love me some October. But no, it's August, and I want to say that it is a date this month. 15th? 15th comics. August 15th comics. Okay, that's what it is. Sorry, getting off to a rough start here. Did I say I was Pablo Gunner? Anyways, reviewing comics grade scale is buy, skim, pass. There's variations. There's a strong buy, which is the best of the best, usually. And then there's, buy is like, it's the medium range of the buy. And then weak buy is like, all right, if you got extra cash, then get it. Then you have strong skim, and that's like, I highly suggest you skim through this book, see if you like the dialogue, the art. If you do, it may become more to you. Then skim is just like mid-range, just skim through it. Weak skim, it's like, hey, if you have a lot of extra time on your hand, go ahead and skim it, but and then pass is pass, kind of like that pile over there. You just toss it, you fling it over there, and yeah. So also, I've been doing the trade of the week, which is whatever is a new trade that I get that came out that week, usually DC, because I get them digitally. That's what I'm doing. And I'm going to be doing a giveaway for those comics when we reach so many likes on Facebook. Once we reach 1,900, I'll probably give away any of these books. Unless you want it, then you can send me $10 with a little note through our PayPal on our website, TNTMTheShow.com. Put in the W's. And then, if it doesn't do it automatically for you. Yeah, and then, so that's pretty much it. There's also terms. There's the best book of the week. We call the B-Bow, back and bag of the week. It's the acronym, back and bag of the week, put it in that back and bagging. And then there's a runner-up to it. And then I'll say contender throughout it, which means, hey, this is a contender for the back and bag. Sometimes I'll say this is a contender for back and bag. Sometimes I'll say this is contender for runner up. So sometimes I'll just say it's a contender. So it's one or the other or both. Well, who knows? So this one's probably going to be pretty quick because I know that JD already did one of these. So I'm just going to try to blaze through here. Oh, I will say we're sponsored by Age of Comics, Twin Suns Comics and Gaming, as well as Gamers Anonymous. So about halfway through, I'm going to do a commercial break. I'm going to try to knock this out as quick as possible. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to start with my trade of the week, because it came out this week for that week of the comics. And it is Batman Detective Comics. It is Volume 6, Fall of the Batman. And because it is Fall of the Batman, it is James Tynion IV is the writer, Joe Bonet, Miguel Mendonca, Jesus Merino, Philip Briones, Eddie Barrows as pencilers, then Sal Regla, Ricardo Jaime, Jamie, Marcio Lorzer, Diana Agia, Jesus Marino, Philip Briones, Eiber Ferreira as inkers, then Jason Wright and Alan Pasalacqua as and Adriano Lucas as colors, and then Sal Cipriano as a letter. So because it is during the it's volume 6 now, but it's in the middle of a story arc. It's right in the middle. It's not the beginning and it's not the end. So it's kind of towards the end of an era, but it's not the entire end of this run. Yeah, it's like part. It starts off with part 4, Fall of the Batman. So yeah, it's just, so that's what it is. It's essentially that crew. It's this crew where they've recruited Batwoman. They have Orphan, which she was Batgirl in the other 52 universe. And so Cassandra Cain, and she's not a mute, but she doesn't really talk much. And then there's Clayface and Tim Drake. he's just returned to the team because he was captured and stuff by a future version of an evil future Batman version of himself. And so he returns, he comes back, and he's like, of course, Batman, there's Batwing, there's Azrael, different suit and stuff. They're all working together to take out any problems. They've had a lot of problems with the monsters and stuff. So we need a whole big team and stuff. So that's what they've been doing. The city, the new mayor's like, hey, you can't have your own military, people. We have a police force. That's what it's for and stuff. You guys can't replace us. So I want you to disband it. Batman, okay, fine. Even Batman and Robin, sure. But you guys overdoing it. But it's so essentially there's the victim syndicate. They make a return. They were at the beginning. So this kind of, you really there's a lot to this. You might want to read all of volume 1 up to get the full capacity of this. And that's why I can't give this one as strong of a grade as I want to. For one, the art is not consistent all the way through because they change artists quite a few times and they're just not consistent. And so a lot of it, because it's issues, comprised of issues, it alters. So, but the story is really great, but you can't get the full story unless you know what came before and you don't get to complete it either. You don't get the full thing because essentially what happens in this is we have this victim syndicate and they find a way to turn Clayface evil again and use them against them. And it turns into this whole nightmare. So it's really interesting and it's really awesome. It's really well done. I like it. It does look really solid and all the characters are really good. And it can be emotional for sure on different levels too, because we have different people's points of views. But I can't, I want to give it a strong buy, but I know I can't because you have to understand what came before to get the full grasp of it. And it's not complete unless you get the next volume. So, which obviously isn't out yet. So I'm going to have to say that it's a buy. It's still a buy though. It's still a buy because it's, like I said, most of it does look really solid and the story is really interesting, really awesome. So, but you just don't get all of it. So that's that for this Batman Detective Comics right here, Volume 6, Fall of the Batmen, which you can get once we get to 200 subscribers, get us 200 subs and we'll do a giveaway. I'll give those away. Or like I said, 1,900 likes on Facebook, do a giveaway. Or like I said, if you like the book, you want the book, send me $10 because that's a steal, really, because it is $20. It's $20. So give it to me for half. You buy it off me for half the price. I'll pay for the shipping. You just leave a note and the info for me. It's yours. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually move into the books, starting with, I'm going to start with Astonishing X-Men. I thought it was just Astonishing X-Men, but it's not. It's Astonishing X-Men Annual #1, and it is Matthew Rosenberg is the writer, artist Travel Foreman, color artist Jim Shuttle-Impidis, Clayton Cowles' letter. And I was very confused because this actually seems more like an X-Men Red book than anything else. So it was very confusing to me, and it didn't fit in with what's going on in Astonishing X-Men with Havoc. So I was like, oh, are they going to work Havoc into this? And they didn't. What ends up being is, like I said, it's an Astonishing X-Men, but it's Astonishing X-Men it feels like Astonishing X-Men and X-Men Red combined into one from the previous run with which is Mr. X, which is the new Xavier, which I thought that wasn't actually new Xavier. It's confusing. But anyways, Xavier essentially lures them into this city where a mutant was killed, and they're like, hey, look how this city is, and no one's attacking them, and they're like, oh, this is great, but someone's controlling them, and it's the same guy that crippled Xavier in the first place. So he recruits the original team to take him out, essentially help him take him out. And it's pretty messed up. It's pretty crazy. It ends up being a really good one-shot. Like I said, it's just a really confusing one-shot because you don't know really where it fits in. So yeah. But yeah, really solid. So this one I can give like a, I feel like I can, I don't know. It's weird. It's just weird where it fits in. I don't know. I'm going to give it a buy. Looks great. Yeah, I'm going to give it a buy. Here's your code. Tell me what you think. H for hotel, I for Icarus, 5, M for Mark, 0, G for Glory, 3, P for Pain, 9, D for Delta, 4. Now I'm going to get into a DC book. Well, kind of DC book. It's Jinx World. I don't know. It's Pearl #1. It's Michael Gaydos is the artist, and then Brian Michael Bendis is a writer. I mean, it's created by both of them. It's called Pearl. And it's essentially this girl, she has this spider tattoo. This guy recognizes it. He tells his friends. Well, his friends are in this gang, and that spider is also a symbol of another gang. And so I think it's like these two Asian gangs, it's like Yakuza and something else. So they send someone out to go kill her. She, deals with them. This kid finds her again. They kind of mess around. So it's almost seems like it could be like a Romeo Juliet type thing, but he doesn't really know the level of it. It's really interesting. I like it. But I have to say that I really don't, because this is the same people that created Jessica Jones, Alias, all that. I've come to realize I really dislike Michael Gaydos' storytelling. I love Bendis. I love his dialogue. I love his storytelling, but I don't like the art storytelling part of Michael Gaydos. I just don't like his style. And so I want to recommend this because it's interesting. But at the same time, like I'm not a huge fan, of this guy, but it was solid at the same time too. So this is another one. I'll go ahead and give it a buy. Okay. Next is The Weatherman #3. This one was confusing because, well, it is Jody LaHaye and Nathan Fox as creators, writer Jody LaHaye, artist Nathan Fox, Dave Stewart as colors, letter Steve Wands. But anyways, it starts different. It starts with a past memory that he doesn't know of. Or no, it's not a past memory. It's something else. It's this guy that's doing this experiment on this, putting these memories in to make them do something. I don't know, but it's completely irrelevant. Well, not entirely irrelevant, but it's too much irrelevant. Because I was like, I don't know who this is. I don't care who these people are. And all it really was like an introduction to this guy that can possibly give this other guy his memories back, but they are going to have to find him because he is the person that took over for this other lady that erased this guy's mind, because he was like kind of like a SEAL team spec ops, but he ended up joining this crazy terrorist group kind of. And so, yeah. So the rest of it is really great once it gets to the main characters, and it's really awesome. But the first stuff was just like, and I just, yeah, this is another one where I love the way it looks, and the rest of the book is great, but just that beginning made me really confused, and I just was like, no, I just pulled me out of it. So it's a buy for me, this one. Being harsh. So let's see, another DC book with Justice League #6, and this is Schneider running the show on writing. Jorge Jimenez is artist, and then Alejandro Sanchez is colorist, and Tom Napolitano is letters. So there's just like, they're turning all these people, or I say they, but it is like the Legion of Doom is just wrecking the Justice League, and they don't even know what's going on. Like, the Justice League barely knows what's. Batman finally starts figuring it out, so the tide is slowly starting to turn because he starts filling everybody in. We finally, the tide is starting to turn. So the Sinestro, he's now in control of like this this new light, this new color or whatever. It's the clear or something like that. But he controls people, essentially unleashes their worst emotions or just their emotions, period, and stuff. And yeah, so it ends up being really, really great. It's phenomenal. I'm like, this is so good. Like I said, tide is turning. It's still pretty rocky right now as far as like bad guys are still whooping butt, and it's crazy and it's scary because they're going into Joker. And I'm like, oh my God, he's the nutso. It is so good. I just love this book. It's a strong bites contender without a doubt. Always looks phenomenal. Let's see. Next is Spider-Geddon. It's Edge of Spider-Geddon #1, and it is shoot. Words are Jed McKay, pencils and inks, Gerardo Sandoval, and colors Brian Riber, Corey Petit. Colors. So essentially, it's just this punk Spider-Man. He calls himself Spider-Man though, and everyone calls him Spider-Punk, and he's like, "It's Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man. I know I'm into punk, but it's just Spider-Man." You know. I also love that like it's a black kid under the mask, and it's like, okay, cool. Like I just love it. You know, diversity is phenomenal. But anyways, we have Kang shows up, and he's like, "I'm here to steal you from the past and bring you into the future to help me make more money, and I'm this like conglomerate in control of time." And then there's like this punk Captain America as well. It's just like a punk universe, punk rock, and it's so legit. I love it. It's so fun. And then they have this punk Hulk and stuff that they bring out because they're like, there's only one way that you could beat me, and that's with an atom bomb. And he's like, I got something similar. So it is cool. I like it. It's fun, but it's another like intruders or whatever thing going on. Those things are attacking again, spin-off deal. And I like it. It's pretty cool. It's interesting. I wanna check out this Spider-Geddon 0, honestly. Yeah, so it is yeah, I liked one a lot. It was really interesting. It was a lot of fun. It was really great. I don't know what it has to do entirely with this thing because it talks about it a little bit, but not too much. But it was so enjoyable. It kind of didn't matter to me that much. So I give it a strong buy and I give it a contender. Here is not a digital code because I'm going to hold on it to the end. Boom. Let's see what's next. Let's see what is next. We have Batman #53. And this is Tom King, Lee Weeks, and Betty Breitweiser. So this is continuing that court. I mean, yeah. There's a trial for. I always want to call him Iceman, Dr. Freeze, and supposedly he killed these 3 women because they had cold brains. But it was Batman that he did find it, but someone's messing with his head. I'm pretty sure it's Bane. Bane is messing with him because he knows that he's all emotional and he's like compromised essentially because the whole like calling off the wedding thing, that was kind of his idea to like get Selena, like find a way to get Selena to not marry him, to break the bat sort of in another way emotionally now. So, but now he's trying to convince them that Batman is at fault. They're talking about God and stuff. He's talking about like, I used to believe in God. My father, we went to church, all this stuff, but I lost faith because of what happened and everything like that. And then he's like, kind of talks about how like Batman is this symbol and you guys kind of regard him as a god, but he's just a man, he's just a man that makes mistakes just like anybody else can. And that gives them enough reasonable doubt to change the verdict. Really interesting, really good. Strong buy contender. It looks phenomenal. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant book. It's like I said, it's one of those things where, yeah, I didn't like the way that they did the calling off the wedding, especially because they kind of addressed the reason that she called it off anyways. But the fallout is and Bane finding another way to break him, really interesting because I know he's the one that's messing with his head. So yeah, strong buy contender for that one. And then I'm going to get into Skyward #5, which is an indie book by Image. It's Joe Henderson as the writer, Lee Garbey as art and cover, Antonio Fabella is the colorist, and Simon Boland as the letterer. And so her dad has never been outside, and he goes outside and it's a rainstorm. In the rainstorm, though, it's just a giant glob it of water, and he gets into this glob. So then the daughter goes in there to save him and stuff. She finds this trick to create an air pocket and stuff. And they're like, all right, well, we still have to deal with this guy. And go save this guy that she works with and stuff. So that's what they do. And they come up with this plan, and it's pretty nuts, and it's pretty crazy, and it's pretty intense. And it's, you always want to compare the Uncle Ben moment. Everyone's like, this is their Uncle Ben moment, and that's exactly the type of thing that happens here. So yeah, it's really good. It's a strong buy. It's a contender. It looks phenomenal. It's really emotional. It's really crazy. There are like some lost pages, it feels like, and I will say that was confusing, but it is overshadowed by things that make it not matter as much. So still strong buy and a contender. Looks phenomenal, and it's just brilliant. I can't wait to read more. All right. Now I'm going to get into Batgirl, which actually is an extra-sized issue, anniversary issue. It's number 25. Lots of artists. First story is really interesting. So she had saved the guy that got killed, that the Joker killed, this guy and his wife. They were getting married, and that was in the Batman issue before the wedding and stuff. And so she's just talking about how like she had saved him before, and then she goes to this funeral and stuff, and the mom like gets mad at her, and she's like, I'm so sorry, it was a waste. And she was like, you know what, you gave him like 9 more months or 6 more months or something. Like, anyways, you gave him more time, and like that's all you can ask for. He was able to do all these things within that time. He was a really good man. He was a teacher and stuff. He was saving his students and stuff. Then the second story is it's nice. I think it kind of had like a lead in too, where it was like, find someone you love, you care about. It goes into, they can be there for you. That's always there for you. She calls Dick. I don't know if they actually hook up or not, but they're in their underwear and they're in this place. Oh, they're using the honeymoon suite and stuff that was supposed to be for Selena and Bruce, but they end up using it. But they do it just to like kind of just relax, to just hang out and talk like friends. And like, yeah, they've been there like sexually and as a couple and stuff, and that's cool. Like, I just loved it. Like, I just love the idea of that, like, you could be there for someone, even that someone that you even have like you're interested in them, and you can still just maintain this friendship, this loving friendship, and just be there for them in that way. That really struck a chord with me, and I liked it a lot. And then the final story was stuff that's leading to her own series. Well, one of them is a complete lead into her own series. It's this guy that's introduced, and then the other one is the sidekick of like the rabbit girl sidekick of the guy, the Mad Hatter and stuff. And it's pretty much like kind of her backstory and stuff like that. It was really interesting. I liked it. All of them were really good. It was really solid. This is another one. I liked it a lot. A really good anniversary issue. A lot of great team here. I can give this one a strong buy and a contender. It was really good. All right. This is one that I absolutely had to read. It was Extermination #1. And it is, I don't even know who the creative team is. But anyways, they have somebody, they're cloaked and stuff. Oh, here it is. We have a writer is Ed Brisson, artist Pepe Larraz, love him. Colorist Marta Gracia, Sergio Sabino is letter. And so this one is, it's the all-new X-Men showing up and stuff, and I think someone's trying to take them out or deal with them. Yeah, because a lot of them do get dealt with in this. And it is these hounds. These hounds are getting sent after them, and so they call Prestige, Rachel Gray, and they're like, hey, these people are making a comeback, and they're like, oh, that makes sense because now I got my stripes back on my face and stuff. So Cable tries to stop this person, and and is dealt with. Cable, yeah, and yeah. So people are getting taken out in this, and this is a first issue thing. It's pretty nuts. It's really intense. It's really crazy, and I think we're finally going to get the conclusion to the all-new X-Men, which was the original X-Men team being brought in this current time. I'm interested to see where it goes. I like it a lot. It's really cool. Looks phenomenal. Really interesting. Definitely hooked me, that's for sure. I can give it a strong buy. I can give it a contender. This is another digital code I'm going to hold on to until the end. Cool. So next is analog number 5. It is $3.99. We have Gary Duggan as a writer, O'Sullivan as the artist, Michael Spicer as colorist, Joe Savino as letterer. So it's just I don't know. There's some stuff they go into, and it's like, okay, that doesn't really matter to me. But anyways, so yeah, there's this guy, and he's going through customs. He comes back to his girl, and stuff. And he's like, I'm going to try to stay off the grid, but there are some things I have to do, kind of check in at work, sort of. One of this lady's there, and she sets him up, and they're like, all right, here's this. And he's like, I know I'm getting set up. So he does find somebody. He finds this guy, and he's like, dude, you should have had a partner watching your back. The partner then shows up. And so it's really crazy and really intense. He has to deal with those guys. I like how he's very human. He's not invincible at all. And then this guy from his past comes back. So he kind of deals with him. He's on the run and stuff. And yeah, it's interesting because it kind of reminds me of John Wick, but not entirely too much, because there is kind of like this secret assassination order, but it's not like as nice and not as luxurious and stuff. But there is parts where they get into a little luxurious part. So it's interesting. I will say, like, this one's, I don't know, this one just didn't seem to flow as well as the others, just because of the way it was done. I was like, they talked about this thing, and I was like, okay. And then they did that. I don't know. It just seemed kind of all over the place. It was still pretty solid, but it's not one that I can give a strong buy to. So I'm going to give it a buy, but it looks great. And it's time for a commercial break. I'm going to talk about one of our sponsors, which is Twin Suns Comics and Gaming, or Twin Suns Comics and Games, at 6301 Riverside Plaza Northwest, Suite L1, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87120. And you can call them at 505-8 or 433-9490, or you can go to the website at twinsonscomics.com. They're usually open from 11 a.m. to 12 o'clock at night, usually. So usually, not always, but usually. So it's pretty nice. They have Friday Night Magic. They have all kinds of tabletop gaming. That's huge with the tabletop gaming. There's always guys, like, even then, even today, I went in, and it was later in the day, and to go get my books, and there's people there, and they're playing Magic, and they're talking about doing all this stuff. But those guys, they really know their stuff when it comes to Magic. Pokemon, Warhammer, they have that stuff going on. They know comics, graphic novels, old, new, it doesn't matter. They know their stuff. They have statues, phenomenal statues, a whole wall of graphic novels, all kinds of stuff. There's Power Rangers stuff. There's Voltron stuff. There's Marvel stuff. There's DC stuff. There's all kinds of goodies there. It's just phenomenal. I'm kind of tempted to get the green Power Ranger helmet, but I like the white one best, so I might hold out for a white one. So yeah. Yeah, and if you subscribe with them, they have a book that you fill out. So you always get the things that you fill out in your book. You just fill it out. You have like a month to fill it out, pretty much. You get a book at the beginning of the month. You have to fill it out within like 2-3 weeks, turn it in to them, You, like I said, you fill out the information in it, exactly what you want, no matter what it is. It can be comics, it can be graphic novels, it can be clothing, it can be statues, posters, movies, anything that's in that book that you can find in there, you will get automatic 15% off. They'll put it in your box, and it's a fantastic. And I love talking to those guys. I love just BSing with them, talking about whatever, movies, comics, anything. They really know their stuff, so make sure you go and check them out. All right, now I'm going to get back to books, and I'm going to actually start with the new Challengers #4. And this is Scott Schneider, Aaron Gillespie, let's see who else, Marian Andre Florera, and Dene Ribeiro. So this one, they tease like one of the new challengers is going to die, and they're like, this person's going to die. They tease it though, because they put these people in a huge risk. They get attacked by like zombies. They get attacked by like dinosaurs. So they're fighting dinosaurs. They're fighting zombies. You know, so any of them could die at any moment. But there is one lady in specific who it genuinely seems like she's going to die, and it's going into her backstory too. So you got a good feeling that she's probably going to die, because they're like, okay, they're, you know, getting all your backstory information on her, so that you kind of care if and when she dies. So it just they keep on upping it and upping it and upping it, the stakes and how crazy it is. Because at first I'm like, how are they killing these people so easily? And they're like, oh, zombies, they are, you know, they're deceit, you know, like they're rotting, you know. So it's I guess and then they do have things. So and then yeah, something happens to that lady at the end where you're like, but you don't know what's going on. Like it's kind of confusing. You're like, is she dead? Is she not dead? I don't know what's going on with her, but it's crazy and it's awesome and it's interesting. I like it a lot. It looks phenomenal. So yeah. Cool. What do I give it? I'm gonna give it, I don't know. I feel like it just, I don't know, because I'm like, what's their mission? And it's interesting. It's fun. The ride is fun, but I'm just kind of like, whatever. You know, I'm along for the ride, but it's a buy. All right. Now I have Infinity Wars #2. Gary Dugan is the writer. Mike Deodato is the artist. Frank Martin is the colorist. Corey Petit is the letterer. And this one goes into like the childhood, the raising of Gamora by Thanos. And so you start getting like some deep, dark stuff, you know, her killing him and how he's kind of haunting her now. And you're like, is that a power, or like, what's going on with that? What's up with that? You don't know. And so and then the thing that they do with like how she stabbed this one guy at the end of the last issue, stabbed him. He was dead, but then of course there's somebody who has the time stone, so he's able to use the time stone. So they all get into this brawl against her because she's trying to she just wants freaking soul gem. That's all she wants. She's like, if you guys, all of this would be avoided if you guys would just let me have the soul gem, but the soul gem is tainted, and so they don't want her to have access to it. But she gets access to it, and she discovers she's messing people up. She does connect with her former self, and it's crazy. You have the whole Avengers show up to pretty much take her on, and it is legit awesome, and it looks amazing, and it's crazy, and it's intense. Because, like, okay, so you saved that guy from the previous issue. Now there's other people that are now at risk, and you're like, what the frick is going on here? It's just pure insanity, and I love it. Strong buy and contender. I'm holding on to this digital code as well. Lots of digital codes to give away at the end. Anyways, let's get into this, okay? Which is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #30. We have same writer. We have Kyle Higgins as the writer, illustrated by Danielle Di Nucolo, with the ink assist by Simona Gianfelice, colors by Walter Baiamante, letters by Ed Dukeshire. They have gone to get help from Rita Repulsa because they have no other choice. They are going to ask for her help, but of course there's enemies that they've had her as an enemy throughout time, and so Zordon is like, he's smart, you know. He's like, I'm just gonna, you know, play your side. But this other guy's like, he hates her so much, he's talking shit to her. So Zordon's like, hey, shut your trap. We're not gonna be able to. And she's like, hey, you know, you come over here, I give you an audience, you know, and you're over here talking trash in my house, you know, screw you. And so Zordon's like, my bad. No, shut up. You know, like, we're trying to work this. So they do get all their forces together, all the different Power Rangers over different time that are still left, haven't had their power stripped, to take on Lord Dracon, the evil Tommy, and everything like that. And they're like, you know, this dude killed you in this other dimension. So you should help us and stuff. And something is happening to Tommy as well. He's putting too much pressure and strain on himself. It's really crazy. It's really intense. I can't wait to find out more. This one's really, really good. Strong buy and contender for this one right here for sure. Next is Tony Stark Iron Man number 3, and it is still, I believe, the same creative team, which should be Dan Slott as a writer, Valerio Shaiti as the artist, Edgar Delgado as colors. But it's crazy because they're going into this thing where they're like, oh yeah, that's this AI world, you know, that you can do anything. You can be Iron Man. You can do anything. But it's a beta test. And Jocasta wants to be part of it. And her boyfriend, Machine Man, he seems really abusive. And he's a total dickbag. And he goes off on Stark. And Stark is just so witty. He like shuts him down and he just storms off all pissed off. But Jocasta's like, you know what, we're gonna have a talk when I get home and stuff. And so yeah, but she's like, I want to be in it, and he's like, yeah, absolutely, you know. And like Machine Man's all pissed off about that, but they're like, okay, they go in there. Essentially, he has this contest going on where like it's a beta test. If you can find who the real people are, then you get money. And so because you're essentially helping out, like, because he's trying to make this thing as realistic as possible. So they do find there's people who find this, but then Machine Man gets set up to go into this thing and wreck it. And then Jocasta, along with Iron Man, they're like fighting him off and stuff. And then Jocasta like figures out the way to beat this. And it's really interesting the way that it ends up, because somebody set him up, Machine Man. And so you think like, oh, this person, like, and they think like they got the upper hand. They fixed all, but Jocasta helped him fix all these glitches, and this person kind of did inadvertently too. So it's really interesting. It's really weird how it's being done. It's being done slowly. I like it though. It's really colorful. It's really crazy. It's almost too much, I will say. Like the colors are like overbearing. It's almost like, oh my God, in this virtual world. And just, yeah, it's really intense. So I can say that Slot, I'm going to give it to you. It's a strong buy. There you go. But I will give this digital code away. 05T for Tomahawk, 9Z for Zarbon, 1, W for Wesker, D for Donatello, 873O for Oscar. And now I have Sink Atlantis Part 2. What? It's Aquaman number 39. Dan Abnett is the writer. And then we have Rob Williams as well on story. And then Abnett is script. And then pencils Joe Bonet, inks Vicente Cifuentes. Colors Adriano Lucas. Letters Steve Wands. So Aquaman's like, he's trying to help out. He goes to Merc, and you know, Merc still has beef with him a little bit, but he knows he's trying to help. And so he's like, hey, what's going on? You find out that the Suicide Squad is trying to sink Atlantis because it is now out of the water, and now all the world sees them, and they are now a visible threat, you know? So, but everyone's trying to just keep an eye on them. But Aquaman knows how like how the military operates, and so he's like, yeah, I know how what's her name operates, and so there's a thing. He goes down there. He goes down there to deal with them. It's really crazy. It's really intense, you know. And Mira's like, I hate you for keeping me out of the loop for this. You know, that really bugs me. And then there's a teaser for Batman Damned by Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo. Interesting, but anyways. Really great. I like it a lot. It's really interesting. I can give this one a strong buy and a contender. It looks phenomenal, and it's really interesting, completely different dynamic. And I love what they're doing with the Atlantis by raising them out of the water. And now, like, wow, they're this visible threat, like everybody else kind of. But they're not a threat, though, but people think they are. So because they're unknown. So, yeah, really good, really interesting, strong buy and contender for sure. Then I have Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, 308. It is still Chip Zdarsky is writing, but we have Chris Bachalo as the artist for this one. And so this one is essentially just about Sandman, and he's falling apart. He kind of has but he keeps on having these visions, these future visions and stuff. Inkers is Townsend, Vay, Foucher, Livesay, and then Travis Lemler. And so it's crazy because Jameson's getting all up in his P-biz, and he's like, hey, dude, you got to deal with this guy. And he's like, he's not a threat, and he saved the world, And he's like, yeah, but he's a bad guy. He needs to pay for his crimes, and stuff. And like I said, he keeps on having these weird visions, and Spider-Man visits him and stuff. And he's just like, hey, dude, you're not a bad guy. We can do this together. It's going to be all good. And but yeah, it seems like he passes away. Like he has this illness that he can't really fix. It's kind of like a cancer or something like that. But yeah, I think he might be transforming into someone or something else. I don't know. It's really interesting. I'm interested to find out what's to come because it was really, really well done. So I like it a lot. It was really interesting. It was weird though, because I was like, this book seems to kind of jump around and not like stay focused, sort of, because I feel like they have a main thing going on and they keep on going off the rails, but their off the rail stuff is so good. It's just crazy. Strong buy. I feel like this one is also contender. I'm not even the biggest fan of Bacalo's art. It totally works. Here's the digital code: V for Vulture, F for Fantastic, O for Oppenheimer, P for Peter, S for Superior, N for Nova, M for Marvel, and F for Fantastic, S for Spider-Man, 9, N for Nova, J for Jameson. And I have one more book, I do believe, which is Green Lanterns, number 53. It is Dan Jurgens as the writer, Santucci, art, hi-fi is colors. And yeah, it's just continuing this. The Ravagers are attacking, but something has corrupted the ring, and they're splitting the forces, kind of. It's splitting the forces, and you finally find out who or may be corrupting the ring at the end of this issue on Earth, because Baz is being called back to Earth, and you find out who it is. It's pretty interesting who it is, and you're like, okay, crazy. I can't wait to find out more, honestly. And it's really cool and really interesting. So I can give it a strong buy. Well, I can give it a strong buy, but I'm not going to give it a contender. Just because, it's a little... it can be a little confusing all over the place. So yeah, that is it for this week. So I am now going to announce my runner-up and back in bag of the week. There was a lot of great stuff here, and yeah, especially like Marvel stuff was really crazy this week. Balls to the wall, and plenty of other stuff. Yeah, it's really crazy, really good stuff here. So Age of Spider really, really fun. It was a blast. I really liked it a lot. But it's not going to be my runner-up. So I'm going to give it away. Here's the digital code for it. V for Vulture, S for Spider-Man, I for Icarus, 7, C for Cable, I for Icarus, W for Wilson, L for Logan, X for X-Men, 7, B for Bison, W for Wilson. So there's that. Yeah, it was really great, though. I don't know, man. It's so tough. You know, I'm gonna have to go with one of these books. I kind of want to pull a Jonathan. I don't know. I hope he picked one of these books as runner up. I don't know, but because it's really, really good and it's really, really great. It's superb. So, Infinity Wars, I'm going to go ahead and give this one away in a little bit. But I'm going to say that Extermination is my runner-up. It was just really great. And here's what's great about it. Okay, so they've built up these characters over a while. They've built up these characters from All New X-Men. And so you kind of care about them, or at least the new ones you do. And there's other characters. I'm going to spoil the hell out of this. I'm sorry I didn't say spoilers at the beginning, but here's spoilers. So spoiler alert, here we go. You have somebody is killing off these characters, and they're killing off these characters because they're not supposed to be in this time and stuff. And so I like it because you're killing them off. Like, you created these characters, you brought these characters in, you kind of built up this interest, you with this care for them, and now you're killing them off. That's a good way to do it because they don't belong in this time anyways. They don't belong in this dimension, whatever. So I'm good with it, you know. Now, I'm not really emotionally invested in what's her name, Bloodstorm, but yeah, that was awesome the way they did that. Then the other people that they dealt with too, because I'm like, oh, they replaced it. Like, they essentially, and then they answered other questions like the stuff going on with Prestige, which is actually from X-Men Gold. So it's kind of, it's a combination thing going on here, X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue. And then the person that dealt with, there's somebody killed Cable, and you go like, oh my God, who killed Cable? This is crazy. And it's just a younger Cable. Actually they include X-Men Red in this as well. So it's really interesting. I can't wait to read more. It's definitely a strong buy, and it's definitely a contender, and that's why it's my runner-up, because it just blew my mind. So here's the digital code for it, though. F for Familia, C for Carlos, and for Marcos, X for Xavier, 1191308, E for Eleuterio. Cool. And then last, actually, you know what? Jeez. Justice League was super good, but you know what? I'm going to go with Batgirl number 26 or 25. Batgirl number 25 is my back and bag of the week. Like I said, it had a lot of really good moments, and it had a good flow to it. So and I'll be honest, it was mostly the Babs and Dick story that really got me, but the other stuff was really good too. The first story was really good, and especially because it flowed right into that. The first story flowed into that second one and really made it work and made it make sense. The third story was just a teaser for what's to come in the next issue, where that works for me totally. That was cool. I'm interested to see more of that, as well as like this backstory of the sidekick chick, Mad Hatter Rabbit girl. You know, that was interesting too. So yeah, that's why that was my back and bag. But oh man, Justice League, so good. Number 6. I'm gonna give away this digital code for Infinity Wars number 2. Looks phenomenal. It was just freaking balls to the wall craziness. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens next. Here's a digital code though for it. I for Ignacio 2, F for Familia, J for Jack, Y for Yucca, U for Uganda, O for Oscar, 0, K for Kilo, Z for Zorro, W for Huerita, W for Huerita. That's it. I'm done. Hope you enjoyed the books. That's it for the Comicast. You can find all our stuff at TNTM The Show. It's our Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, YouTube, website. That's everything TNTM The Show. So make sure you check us out. Talk nerdy to me, and keep your ojos on grip of comics.